Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this Lunch and Learn presented by Cross IT. We're glad that you were able to join us on this afternoon. Our presenter today is Laura Betts, and she's going to be talking about some basics of scripting and how to get started on that journey of automating your tasks. Just a reminder, if you have a comment or want to ask a question, please do so in the chat. We'll try to get to as many of the questions as we have time for. Also, you can fill out the survey when we're done. We appreciate your feedback. This is being recorded, so you can watch the replay if you missed anything. And also, you can bring out the application screen and then take a look at some things there. So I know Laura has a lot to cover today, so without any further delays, let's get to our content today.
Okay, thank you, Todd, for the introduction. Like you said, today I'm going over the very basics of scripting and things that you would need to know about it. One of the first things I would like to say about scripting is not just in FileMaker, but any scripts, they help automate tasks. So if something you do repetitively or quite often, it's good to set up a script to do it often. So if you're creating the same report or doing the same finds over and over again, or creating new records and entering the same kind of information type of thing, a script is a good way to do that. It's also good for navigation and other different types of stuff. So in FileMaker, there's several ways to call a script. Here we see that there's a few common ways to call a script. One of the most common being buttons. I have a script assigned to this button. You can see in assigning to the button, this is what it looks like, and the script name is here. So I'll call that, and this will have a dialog that comes up. There's also different script triggers, which script triggers are in different places within the file, but one of them is in fields. For this script trigger, I have it for onObject exit, so when I exit a field, you can see that the script triggers. And then another way is to call a script is by URL, using the FMP URL. You would start off with the regular URL, the FMP, the host's URL, and then the file name. And then to call a script, you'll want to add the question mark, script equals, and then put in the script name. And so that is calling a URL, which again is calling the same scripts that I called up here. That shows a dialog. There might be other ways. Feel free to comment if there's other ways to call scripts in FileMaker. Now to create a script, you'll kind of do that into the Workspace, which I'm showing here. I'll show you a little bit more on this. And when you're in the script workspace, the toolbar up at the top changes a little bit, especially for the scripts. A lot of what you'll see in the menu items are actually in here. And again, I will show that to you in a little bit. Some other things that change when you're in the script workspace is in the view menu bar and then the tools one. The view one, I'll show you a little bit about these 2.4 and these. These also correlate with the scripting, but that's more navigating through scripts. I won't talk about that much. And preferences, I'll show you a little bit more about the preferences. And then tools, the main things I'll show is the script debugger and the data viewer. So let's get to the demo because there's a lot I want to cover over here. So let's actually open the script workspace. You can go to actually the scripts at the top and do script workspace, or go Shift Command or Control S, and that'll open it up. So you can see that we have that over here. It kind of has different scripts listed on the left and the scripts workspace on the right. Now let's go through the list of the menus just to keep this sort of organized in here. At the top we have new script up here, which you can do with Command or Control N, or alternatively use the plus button here to create a new script. And you can see that it will just create a new one and put it at the bottom. Next thing would be the new folder, and that is this button. So when you can create a new folder, you can see you can put a different script within the folder and then it will fold or open. Let's actually put that in there. So yeah, you click the arrow beside the folder and it can collapse it, and that can help organize your scripts if you have similar scripts that you need to put together but not always see. And then there's new separator, which are these lines. That's that button here. So that'll put lines in here. Again, that's just for organization purposes. You can put it into folders so that when it folds up, it'll fold up. So the next thing is importing. If you ever imported a custom function, this works similarly. So if you go up to Scripts and Import, it will ask you which file do you want to import the scripts from. And then you can just choose the scripts. You can actually choose a folder or all the scripts. Click OK. It'll say if there's any errors from it, which there might be because you might not have the same tables or fields from it, but it will still copy over the scripts. Type of it. Alternatively, you can copy and paste, which if you highlight a script and you might be able to do a keyboard shortcut, but you can alternatively right click and do a copy and then also paste. And that will paste the same script. You can do that from another file or from the same file. And if you're copying the same script, it'll name it the same, but with number 2 beside it. Now the next couple things in the list are Open Script in New Tab and New Window. So when we do that, when I click on different scripts, you can see that it automatically does open into a new tab, but there's this I here, and that's to tell you that you're actually just previewing the script, you're not in the script. You can click on the I, and that'll remove it so that you're not previewing it, you're actually in the script. But alternatively, if you're doing the new tab, you can do the open new script or the Command T or Control T, and that'll again remove the I. Now, sometimes you want to look at 2 scripts side by side, so you want to put another script into a new window. Now that's when you can do the Command Shift T after you have highlighted the script, and that will put the script into a new window in which you can click, drag, resize as much as you want in there. And you don't even need to be in there, you can still preview it and this will work the same. And again, you can do that if you right click script, and the options are here, open new tab or open new window. Now in the next few ones, there's rename, duplicate, and delete scripts. We showed how to copy and paste a script, but alternatively we can duplicate a script. So if we do duplicate, the difference between copy and pasting, the copy and pasting will add a number, duplicating will add the word copy. And if you do it multiple times, you can see it says copy with a number to it. Now you can delete a script by pressing the delete button, and it will tell you to delete it, or alternatively right click and do delete, And then you can highlight multiple ones if you press Shift and then click, and then press Delete. And it'll tell you how many things that you're actually deleting on it to delete. Now with renaming, you can right-click and rename it from here, or alternatively, if you're in the script, you can double-click the script name at the top and rename the script from there. Now we have Include in Scripts menu. So we're going to take a little pause here and go back to the View menu. And we're going to go to the Script Workspace Preferences. Right now we have this checked, Display New Scripts in Script menu. If I have this unchecked, you noticed every time I added a new script, it would automatically be checked on here. Since I've unchecked it, it's no longer checked when adding a new script. Now, Include in Scripts menu, that's basically if you highlight a script and include a scripts menu, it basically will check mark, which you can again go up there, or you could just check or uncheck mark it. The next thing would be grant full access privileges, which you can go up to the view menu, but alternatively right click and do grant full access privileges. And when you do that, there's a person that icon that comes to the right of the script. And what this does is it allows your script to do what it is programmed to do. If a person has certain privileges that doesn't allow it to do things, let's say if a person can't delete anything in the file, but the script says you can delete stuff, if you run this, if the person has access to this script and runs the script, they actually can delete it without getting error. If we revoke it and then the person runs that script, then they would get error in deleting it. So now we have Enable Shortcuts Donation. That's mainly for iOS, the Shortcuts app. In order for the Shortcuts app to work, it needs to be able to function with a script, but you have to donate a script to it, and that's what you'll use to help automate processes even more so than usual. Then there's a run script and debug script. Those are these two buttons where the arrow is the run, and the little bug thing is the debugging. And we'll get more into that in a little bit. So I'll move on to saving scripts and saving all scripts. So if I edit a script, whether it's just typing anything or just making a space or whatever, you'll see that there is an asterisk to the right of the script and also up here. That shows that it's modified with it. You can save it by doing Command S, and that will remove that asterisk to indicate that it is saved. Now, there's revert script. So if you do revert script, it will go back to the last save point of that script. If you do that, it'll first let you know about it to discard all the changes that you made. This doesn't work if you have changed it and then saved it again. But what you can do actually is have Command Z or Control C to undo it, to undo that thing, even undo what you just did, even though you had saved the script. And then there's save all scripts. So instead of individually going through all scripts and saving it, you can just save all of them at once in case you really want to do that. So I covered a little bit of the buttons. Let's cover the rest of it. This button here, we talked about the checkbox here. If we do checkboxes in here, you can see that when we go outside to the browse modes, when things are checked, they show under the scripts menu. But if you don't want to see the checkboxes, this is a way to show or hide it. Alternatively, it can be shown or hide through this hide scripts management right here. That's what this is for. And in here we have the scripts pane, which if you don't want to see the list of scripts and you just want to see the script itself, you can click here and that will show and hide it. And alternatively, it's under view and hide scripts pane. One of the good things about it is you can also search for scripts at the top. Now you can see that there's another icon here that looks similar that comes to the right, and that's for the script steps. This lists all the script steps that you are able to use within FileMaker, and it is categorized by different things. You can search for different scripts through that, and it'll show it there. And when you click on a different script step, you can look at the description. So when you're in the steps pane, you can hide it through the view or show it. And then the description part, in the view, you can actually hide a description pane if for some reason you don't want to see that. It's here. And of course, you can sort it by alphabetical or categories. And if there's a favorite one, that step you can add a star by it to put it into the favorite script steps. Usually I know a lot of scripts that I don't usually have it open, but that's an option in case you are new to FileMaker and not sure what all the script steps are. That's a good way to learn and find out about it. Last thing is this button. It shows the compatibility, and that lists all the different types of things that FileMaker can work on. It's also in the view and the compatibility. It's the same drop down. So let's say if we have a script step called print, and we change the compatibility to like server, you can see that it's grayed out, that it's not actually compatible with server. But we do Macintosh, it does highlight back again, and you can see that it's used for Macintosh. So it's a good way to check if script steps are available to certain systems. And then when you do all, that'll just indicate if any of these script steps are available within any of those different platforms you're using. Now, the last menu types of things I'm going to show you is the script debugger and a data viewer. So let's open the script debugger. I like to open it and keep it to the top right, and you can move it around and resize it. Another way to open that automatically if you want to run a script is use the debugger, this debugging button, and it automatically will open that script to start running it in the script debugger. Now if we want to see it, you can see that it goes back to browse mode. If you want to see the script workspace, you can click that button, this button, the little pencil, and it'll bring the script workspace back into view. And so if you actually edit a different script while this is running, you can do that, and you can see that it has been modified. But if you save that script, it'll ask you if you want to actually halt the script, because you cannot edit it while it's actually running. So if I click I don't want to save it, it'll continue as before. But if I save it and say yes, I do want to save the new action, it'll stop that script running and it'll do the save thing. So let me show you a little bit before I do the script debugger of what this does when running, which should just bring up the dialog as usual. And then we can click the debug button to open back up the script debugger. Talked a little bit about the arrow at the top up where it runs. And there, if you click on that, it will run the whole script through it and without stopping it, unless you have a breakpoint. If you click on one of these over in the side, you can see that it highlights in blue, and that will make a breakpoint. Or alternatively, if you click it below and check this pause and error, it'll actually pause whenever there's an error that occurs in with the script. But let's say you're in the middle of running a different script through here, but you want to stop through it. That's the next button here. Here it's the halt script, and when we click on that, it'll actually halt the second. And so then we can see that there's no longer a script running. Now, let's go to the next few buttons. I'm going to skip this next button for a second and go into the step into, because the step into will literally step to the next one, to the next one in the script. And then, so that's pretty simple. It'll just step the next type of thing. The step over, if you're just dealing with one script, it kind of does a similar type of thing. So when we go through the loop, since it's looping, it's going to go back to different steps before. And one thing I want to mention with loop, because right now we're setting a variable here, that this index, and this index counts for it. So I've opened up the data viewer, and in the data viewer you can see different fields or different indexes, different variables type of thing. And so when we step through this loop, you can see that it is incremented each time it goes through the loop. Okay, so the next thing we have in the script is another subscript, in which you can call subscripts within it by using the perform script step onto it, and the script debugger will go into it. So if I step into it, you can see it'll go to the script, into that subscript. And you'll notice that down here there's the call stack. It highlights the script that you're currently in, and below it it'll show all the parent scripts that it will return to once it goes through it. And again, you can do the step into it, and it will function the same way as it would be in the parent script. And so once it's done with that, it'll go back to the parent script that it is functioning in. The next two buttons I'd like to note is that, well, the step over, that's important with the this perform scripts action. The next step, with this button we can specify the actual next step that is running. So even though I was on the exit script, when I clicked on the perform script action and then clicked on the next step function, it is actually going to go back to the perform script. Now with the step over, it did look like the step into, where it just goes through each line, but with the perform script, actually it's going to run the subscript without having to step through it like I had shown you before. This is useful in case you know your subscript has a lot of lines and you know it works, so you don't need to function back again. So when I click it, it'll run that subscript that has that dialog in there, and it won't stop to function again unless there's a break, or if in that case there's a dialog, it's waiting for user interaction type of there. So that's what the step over is good. Let's go back into that subscript, and let's say that we're actually in the subscript, so we can see the call stack. We're in there, but we still have the parent script. And let's say that we're running through the subscript, but we looked at what we needed to in the subscript, and we know that the rest is fine, and we want to do that. This is where the third button is step out. That will run the rest of the subscript, and with, exceptions to breaks or dialogues and such like that, and run it so that you don't have to keep clicking the step into button to run through that. So those are those buttons. This is the script debugger button. So if you see they click it, when I click it, it will turn that on and off. So you don't have to go to the tools menu to do that. And then lastly is the script. This is the script triggers on. Right now it's defaulted to on, so whenever we actually run the script and we run into script triggers, like let's say if we go to a layout and that layout has a script trigger, right now it will run that script trigger script for it, but if we disable it, if we click this off, then it won't run that script trigger and you can function it, which might be useful if those scripts that are being functioned run have a lot of code and you don't need to look through it and you know that it works. So that is sort of the basics of how the script debugger works. But let's get back into the workspace before we get too far ourselves. There's some basics that we like to do. Here we have a basic script. At the top we can see the reason for the script triggers, parameters, and whether it's passing or returning some. And these are all comments, which comments in a script are started by a hashtag. They don't do anything for the functionality. They're mostly just there to help you know what the script does in a readable term. You do have to write it out yourself. It won't automatically do it, but it's kind of good to have in case you have lots of code that you're not sure or just at a glance what it is. You can read whatever comment you put on it and then it's there. At the end of the script, we have the exit script. Anytime that it gets to the end of a script, that script is automatically ended. But if you want to end a script earlier, you can use the exit script. But another function for this is if you want to return a parameter or value from it, or result from it, I should say, you can specify it here. And that's good if you're using a subscript within a script and calling something back. It might be important to know what that subscript had functioned on. And then a couple other good things can be allow our user board with the option of off. If that's when you're running a script and you don't know, and you don't want the person to cancel like something that it's running in the middle of. That's a good thing to have. And the set error capture on. If you're running something and then an error happens, maybe you don't want the user to see a random error that occurs within this. So those are good things to happen. And then I already have script steps here, but you can see with the new script, it starts out with nothing. So alternatively, you can go into the script space and add a script step here and double click it. It'll work fine to add a script, but that kind of takes a while. So one of the things that you can do is just type in the script name, and you can see that it highlights the script, in which you can click and see the different script options based on what you typed, and it'll show you a little description below of what the script name is. So then you can double click that to choose it, or if you just want the keyboard option, you can type it and then you can use the arrow keys to choose it and then press enter on whichever you choose. That's for one word. There's another way of some script steps have more than one words in there. Go to related record is one of a popular one, and we can type in GTRR and you'll see that it will show both the whole go to related records, because that's what the letters start with. And you can see that the second one's highlighted because that's what FileMaker thinks you're going to use, even though the other script step is above that alphabetically. And then when you click enter, you can use that as you would normally do. And then some scripts have these cogwheels at the end, which has different options depending on the script step that you're using, or different parts can be clicked inside it to change the different options. So that's a little bit on the basics of scripting and how to get started and different parts you can use to debug or see what scripts are there. So hopefully after this you can start playing around and see what can be used with our scripts. But with that, I'll turn it back over to Todd.
All right, thank you, Laura. We have a few questions that we're going to get to, but before we do that, I just want to make one clarification. For those of you of my generation, the hashtag symbol that Laura referred to is known as the pound symbol. So I just wanted to throw that out there. All right. So the first thing, it's not a question, but just a thank you for the excellent overview, especially of the script debugger. That's something that a lot of people don't always make use of. So people wanted to thank you for that. All right. First question here is just that you showed the option to show the compatibility of the various script steps. Are you able to write a script in such a way that it works across the various platforms?
Yes. There's certain script steps that definitely won't work in different platforms, but if you use the if statement with the function of like get application version to determine which version you are, it can help navigate what steps you want to do. So if you want to print in let's say FileMaker Pro, but in server you want to save it as an Excel or PDF, which I'm not sure it can do, but you can do that and with that sort of combination between a script step and function.
All right, perfect. Thank you. All right, so I guess the next step or next question is with the script debugger, what happens when you close the debugger window?
So I believe that
if you're debugging a script and you close the window, I guess is the question, is what happens when you just close the window without hitting any of the other buttons?
Okay, I believe the way that functions, we can test that here. Hold on one second. Yeah. I believe that it'll just continue to function to run that script the way it is. Let's see how that works. Yep, it'll just continue to run that script without the debugging, so it won't stop it.
All right, perfect. I guess it's good to know if you find a problem in your script and you want to stop it, don't just close the debugger window. All right. I guess kind of related to that, there was a question. Can you use the data viewer when you're not debugging a script?
Yes, let me show you. So let's open up the data viewer. It has the current tab, which is useful for the when it's debugging, but also there's this watch tab that you can enter in anything you want because it has the calculation engine. Alternatively, when you're running a script, so let's go back to our script workspace, and we're running something in the debugger, and we can see that it has the variable. We can click on the variable, we can click on add to watch, and that actually will bring you over to the watch tab, so that whenever we close it, that variable will still be there. It won't be, it doesn't have a value because it's a variable, a local variable, and once you're done with the script, it doesn't have a value, but you can see that it's still there in the data viewer.
All right, perfect. Thank you. And I guess we've just got one last question. And this might be a little bit of a loaded question, but how do you determine when you copy or duplicate a script versus starting to build one from scratch if you're doing a similar task to something that you've done previously?
Sometimes I like to do that if I want to test something in a script, but I don't want to mess up the original script. Or if it is very similar, I can just duplicate it and run it from it, because it might have 10 million lines and it's easier to just edit a couple of lines instead of creating all the lines from there.
All right, very good. All right, well, I think that brings us through all of the questions. So thank you very much, Laura, for that excellent overview on scripting and the script debugger. Also, thank you to all of you viewers out there. We appreciate you tuning in and checking out what we're serving for this particular Lunch and Learn. If you do like what you saw, we ask that you please give us a thumbs up and share the video out. If you haven't subscribed yet, certainly would invite you to subscribe, and also hit the bell at the bottom so that you get notified the next time that we go live. There is a survey that you can fill out that's in the bottom of the description of the video. We do certainly want your feedback. We read everything that comes in so that we can give you the content that you want to see. Speaking of that, we also take ideas for topics, or if you have a particular question, something you've encountered in your own FileMaker development have you guys figured out how to do this? We'd love to share that knowledge with you. So certainly submit that either through the survey, or you can email it to nutshell@crossit.com. And there's a chance that your question or issue will be featured on a future Lunch and Learn. And with that, that brings us to the end. So we are glad to have served you a Lunch and Learn, and have a great day, everyone.